we are back to working on the C5 Z06 today. And what are we working on? We are taking the transmission out. Why are we taking the transmission out at 30,000 miles? Because the owner, previous owner, is an idiot and probably just abused the heck out of this car and doing all kinds of motorsports events. As I found out before, this had an aftermarket seat in it and steering wheel. So this car was definitely driven hard, but I have a bum second gear synchro and second gear is pretty much unusable. So when I get my engine back, it's all nice and fresh. Still gonna have a bum second gear, which would kind of suck. So while everything is apart and nothing is attached to the torque tube right now, I'm gonna pull the rest of the drivetrain out and get that T56 sent in to get some new synchros and possibly a new second gear, depending on how bad it is. Like literally every time I drove it, it would grind second gear. Not cool. And with that extra power, I want to be able to take advantage of second gear as well. And the Canyon that I usually run too, that's a pretty heavily second, third gear kind of road. So I want to make sure that that's all good to go once the engine's back into. On these cars, you have to drop the entire rear cradle. So I'm going to be undoing the majority of the top of the suspension, brakes and everything, and dropping that cradle down as one unit. The torque tube in the front should come out with it and shouldn't be too much work since the front of it's already disconnected as well. So let's get into it. All right, so pretty straightforward job right now. So I got the upper control arm bolts out, got the shock out, the brake is disconnected, and then I had to disconnect the parking brake bracket. That was kind of a difficult area to get to because it's like tucked down here and the bolts are kind of hard to get to, but I shouldn't have to take the sway bar off. I think really all I need to do is come under here and disconnect the X pipe right there, and then undo the shifter from the top, and then there might be like a couple electrical connections, but that should be pretty much it. And then I can start undoing these big giant cradle bolts. And then I think because I have two jacks, I'm actually gonna jack the front of the torque tube up and then the back at the same time, and then kind of lower it all as one unit. Hopefully I can slide it out the back. I might have to jack the car up a little bit more, but actually it doesn't seem as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Like I said, I wanted to do this while the torque tube in the front was already disconnected because those bolts that connect to the motor and the bell housing are a little bit tough to get to, so might as well do it. Okay, so got that all taken out, the exhaust. I just need to undo all those million torque plate bolts that go underneath that torque tube shield. There's like a million, like 10 mils that have to come off of there, so that's gonna happen next. Okay, so plan is to attempt to lower the cradle down now. It's just those 4 bolts. I already got them pretty much loose. I got a jack at the front and I got a jack at the rear, and hopefully I can just lower this in a controlled manner slowly, and it'll come down. She's going. Let me just do double check to make sure nothing plugged in still. Actually looks like we got the rear brake lines, the hard lines are still attached somewhere. I need to figure out where those need to come off. They're pretty flexible, so I think I should be able to lower it still. So I noticed in the front the shifter box is getting hung up. I ended up taking the shifter shaft off the top of it just so it'll clear underneath, but the entire box was hitting the fuel lines and not allowing the front to lower. So you gotta take those off, that shifter box completely out. Also it'll get hung up, but the rear cradle is mostly on the ground, and I think I could just drop it now. All right, sweet, we're on the ground. I'm gonna disconnect those brake lines right up here at this union, and then should be able to slide the whole assembly right back out. And then I need to separate the trans and diff once it's over here, but yeah, really not too bad actually. Well, it's all out. Now I'm gonna need to separate the torque tube from the transmission and the diff from the transmission. Just get that out as one piece. But yeah, kind of a pain to try and like slide it out from underneath the car, but not too terrible. I think actually you might have to lift up. Yeah, that's what it is. You need to lift up on there.
This?
Yeah. There we go. Alright. Okay. Oh, jeez. Alright. Now, come over here, lower that.
How far?
All the way. Whew. Holy crap. All that for second gear. Well, there you guys have it. The transmission's out. My other video, how to remove an engine from a Corvette, actually got a lot of views. So I'm hoping this is a good educational video. Even though I didn't go through every single step, you know, it was pretty easy. Just undo all the top suspension on each side, undo the brake lines, get the shifter out, and then just drop the whole assembly just by getting rid of these 4 subframe bolts. And that's pretty much it. It's out. If your engine's still attached, unlike mine, it's just those 4 bolts on the bell housing, and then you can slide the torque tube out. But I'm actually gonna replace I think there's 2 sets of bearings inside the torque tube, and then like a Guibo thing like the BMWs have, a little rubber coupler to stop drivetrain shock. So I'm probably going to be replacing all those. Even though the car has 30,000 miles on it, those rubber parts are probably dry rotted, and who knows with the abuse from the rest of the car what that thing looks like. But I'm going to send this T56 off to my buddy to get rebuilt. Hopefully it doesn't need too much. I think I'm going to have him put the Viper gears in here just to build it and not have to worry about it. And then the really good synchros. I forgot what synchros they are, but there's some pretty beefy synchros that you can put in those things, and they'll be pretty stout. There is a shortage right now for parts for those. If we can't find parts, I might go to a TR6060, which means I would need a C6 subframe to mount to the TR6060, and I think I need a rear diff from a C6 Z06 as well to make that all work. But hopefully I can get this T56 rebuilt for a reasonable price, and then should be actually getting the engine back shortly. So in the meantime, I'm gonna be putting that motor together, and hopefully it'll be ready to drop in the car, and then hopefully the transmission will be back, and then I can put everything back in. So I think the reverse order, I'm gonna put the rear end back in and the torque tube and have that sit right up there how it was, and then throw the engine in last. I think that's the easiest way to do it. Comment below if you guys have any questions or you need to take the transmission out of your C5 or C6. C6 is actually the same process. Let me know if you have any questions. Like I said, it's a pretty straightforward job. There's a lot of guys on YouTube that make it seem more complicated than it actually is, but it's not too bad. All right, well, I'll see you guys on the next one. And hopefully I get my engine back this week and I'll do an episode on that. Thanks.